Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in information? Desperately searching for that one thing that clicks, but you're just wading through endless articles. It's like trying to find a needle in a digital haystack, isn't it? Well, what if there was a shortcut? A way to sort of quickly grasp the important stuff without feeling totally overwhelmed. That's really what we try to do here at the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting stuck into the fascinating world of generative AI, specifically its potential uses in education. We've gathered insights from a whole set of official resources, guidance, reports, that kind of thing, mostly from the Department for Education. And the aim is to show you how educators are actually already using generative AI, or Gen AI, safely and, well, effectively. So you can expect us to unpack how Gen AI, when it's used carefully, with human oversight, is supporting educators and learners. We'll look across three main areas: teaching and learning, personalized learning, and admin processes. And we'll pull out some surprising facts, some real world examples that maybe you might not expect. So, okay, let's unpack this. What's the sort of core idea here about generative AI in education? Where do we start?
Well, what's really fascinating, I think, is just the sheer breadth of stuff Gen AI can produce. It opens up so many possibilities. But it always comes back to a core principle. These tools are incredibly versatile. They can create content like, text, images, video, audio, even music, code, lots more. And this adaptability means, well, different approaches can work for different teaching stages or subjects. It's not one size fits all. But the guiding principle, and this comes through really clearly from all the sources, is that Gen AI must support the work people are already doing. It should never replace those important human thinking processes. That's critical. Human oversight isn't just like a nice to have. It's absolutely crucial. The main question always needs to be, okay, how will this actually benefit us or our pupils or our students?
It's about enhancement, right? Not replacement.
Right, enhancement, not replacement. So tools that create, but with humans firmly in the driver's seat. Makes sense.
And you mentioned those three key areas. Let's start with the classroom itself. How is it shaking things up for, actual teaching and learning?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that jumps out immediately is the potential to cut down on educator workload. The Department for Education's guidance, and also a 2024 user research report they did, highlighted this. While Gen AI can definitely make tasks quicker, maybe easier, it absolutely cannot replace the judgment, the deep subject knowledge of a human expert. That's key. Teachers they surveyed were most keen on using time-saving tools for marking. That was top. And then second was things like data entry and analysis of pupil progress or attainment data.
Yeah, marking and data, those are definitely huge time sinks for any teacher. I can see the appeal. But beyond just, saving time, how is Gen AI actually helping teachers to maybe innovate a bit or create, I don't know, new kinds of resources?
That's a great question. And yeah, teachers are definitely keen on that side too. They're looking at using AI to adapt resources, maybe simplifying text, changing the reading difficulty, that sort of thing. Also designing lesson materials, framing tricky concepts in new ways, or even for longer term stuff like planning units, creating activity rotas, mapping vocational concepts. Lots of ideas there. The key thing though, and this comes up again and again, is you have to check the output thoroughly. AI makes mistakes. And of course, making sure you have the right permissions, especially if you're adapting purchased resources. Copyright is still a thing. Oh, and it's also really vital to make sure you're only using AI systems provided or approved by your school or college. Ones that definitely won't train on the prompts you give it, especially if that prompt contains sensitive or copyrighted info.
That point about checking output and the AI not knowing your specific context, that feels really important. How does that play out when teachers personalize things, especially for students with, say, unique needs?
It's a really significant point. Matthew Wemyss from the Cambridge School of Bucharest, he put it really well. He said, AI doesn't know your context. Ought. So teachers use it as a starting point, right? But then they personalize the output using their own reflection, their own knowledge of the students. This is especially true for students with individual education plans, or IEPs, those really tailored learning roadmaps. Aaron Norwood from Ivell Valley Special School also shared that his staff use AI for longer-term planning, but also, interestingly, to generate images for descriptive writing exercises.
Oh, images for writing? That's creative.
Yeah, it apparently really sparks ideas for the students, helps them visualize.
And it's not just planning and content, right? I think I saw something about observation reports.
Yes, exactly. Anna Guanlao at Chiltern Academy, she reported that an approved AI education assistant saved her, and this is quote, hours and hours of work. It helps streamline really detailed observation reports, making them more concise, more professional, without losing the crucial details. That's a big time saver.
Wow, hours and hours. That's significant.
It really is. And another practical example, Matthew Wemyss also mentioned AI integrated quizzing tools. Apparently, you can just copy and paste text from a learning resource or even upload the file, and the tool whips up a bespoke quiz from that content in like 2 to 3 minutes.
2 to 3 minutes for a custom quiz.
Yeah. He said it's incredibly efficient for retrieval practice, maybe just before a lesson starts. Quick knowledge check.
That's a real game changer for quick checks. So, okay, efficiency, new resources. What about preparing students for, the future, their careers?
Yeah, that comes up too. Caroline Shea, she's head of art at Chiltern Academy, highlights how using AI in art and design actually helps prepare students. Think about careers like animator, architect, graphic designer. AI tools are becoming standard in those fields. She particularly mentioned digital art, where, an iPad and stylus are common tools now. AI becomes a vital starting point for students creating digital artwork.
That makes sense. Integrating tools they'll actually use professionally. But with all these powerful new tools flying around, how do schools make sure that the tech serves the learning? That pedagogy comes first, and it doesn't just become a fancy distraction.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Pedagogy absolutely has to come first. And this brings us to a really interesting case study. Barton Peveril Sixth Form College. They're actually piloting their own bespoke front end for a large language model. They call it Barton AI.
Their own front end, so not just using ChatGPT directly.
Exactly. Instead of giving students direct access to commercial models, they built their own interface. It uses an API, basically a way for programs to talk to each other from a large language model provider. But they control the interface, the safeguards.
Okay. Why go to that trouble?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, their bespoke model is a really fascinating example of how schools are trying to tackle what's called the digital chasm, or digital divide. They want to give all students equitable access to powerful AI tools, which is crucial. But importantly, they're also training students on the limitations, the ethics, the biases of AI itself. That's built into how they use it. Their system has enhanced safeguards, so it won't, for instance, answer questions about harmful topics like misogyny or violence. And it tracks the input and output, which helps with monitoring and understanding usage.
So it's about safe, equitable access, and critical digital literacy all rolled into one.
Precisely. And the goal is to roll this out to all 5,000 students, free of charge. It helps bridge that gap where some students might not have laptops or good internet access at home. Everyone gets the same opportunity within the college environment.
That's a really proactive approach, building their own system to ensure safety and equity. That really highlights how AI can be tailored. It makes me wonder then, how else is AI transforming learning on a more individual level, making sure, every student's specific needs are met?
Yeah, this is another area where generative AI seems to have huge potential, especially for learners with special educational needs, or SEN. These are students who, need additional support to access education effectively. AI tools can help educators provide equal access in loads of different ways. A large language model, for example, can break down complex tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. Or you can prompt it to respond with a specific persona, or at a particular reading age, or even in a completely different language.
Tailoring the output like that must be incredibly helpful.
Definitely. And some specific chatbots can provide really low-pressure environments for students to practice conversations, maybe for language learning or social skills.
That idea of lowering pressure, removing barriers. I remember reading, I think it was the British Dyslexia Association, saying AI has potential to remove barriers to access to education and employment. That's quite a strong statement.
It is a significant statement, and you see concrete examples of this. For students with motor disabilities, AI-powered speech recognition tools are a lifeline. They can help them write essays, complete assignments, just using their voice. For visually impaired learners, AI can describe scenes in images or surroundings. It also offers support for dyslexia, communication difficulties. The list goes on. Matthew Clements, he's a cloud champion at Leo Academy Trust, he put it nicely. He said, AI makes his time a lot more efficient, which lets him spend much more time with the learners.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but about freeing up the human.
Exactly. It's about reallocating that precious teacher time back to human connection and direct support.
That makes a lot of sense. I saw a really creative example of that kind of human-AI collaboration, too. Irina Kovacs, an art and English teacher at Shalinee High School for Boys, shared how her school approved an AI image generator after doing thorough data checks, importantly. Her students write short stories, then use the AI to generate images based on their descriptions.
Okay, interesting.
But here's the really insightful part. They then look at the AI's image, see what it picked up or missed from their writing, and then they rewrite parts of their story to improve the description.
Oh, wow. So the AI output becomes feedback for their writing.
Exactly. It's this iterative loop,
Wow.
using the AI not just to create, but to help them reflect on and refine their own creative work.
That's a fantastic example of enhancing the creative and critical thinking process. Really smart. And you hear other examples too. Aaron Norwood mentioned AI apps specifically for reading support. And Roger Williams, also from Ivy Valley Special School, described how students who really struggle with reading get incredibly excited about apps that can, say, read menus aloud for them or scan a barcode and read the product information. He said it's literally opening up the world for them.
Opening up the world. That's powerful. It really underlines how AI can generate these personalized learning plans or supports while still needing that crucial human oversight. UNESCO highlights this potential too, right? Fostering inclusive education by tailoring experiences.
Indeed. And Scott Hayden from Basingstoke College of Technology shared another really impactful example. He described an automotive teacher who carefully curates specific files like manuals, technical docs for an AI tool. Students can then interact with the AI, but will only draw information from those curated files. He called it letting them summon and speak only to those files.
So, a walled garden for the AI keeps it focused and accurate for that subject.
Exactly. But the most impactful bit he shared was about generating podcast overviews from the teacher's slides, handouts, even workshop videos. This allowed a student who was a young carer and couldn't always attend classes physically to listen to the key lesson content on the go, like on the bus.
Wow. That's bridging a huge accessibility gap right there.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it really is. But, this raises an important point that comes up repeatedly in the sources. While AI provides this incredible assistance, it absolutely cannot replace the power of human connection, that empathy, that understanding. These AI tools work best when they're combined with human support from teachers, parents, specialists, people who truly understand each learner's unique situation and needs. And of course, as always, safety and permissions are paramount, especially if you're uploading any kind of content or student work.
That's such a critical point to keep coming back to. AI is a powerful assistant, enhancing the human element, not replacing the heart of education. Okay, so we've talked about the really exciting stuff in the classroom for individual learners. Great examples there. But let's be honest, anyone who's worked in or near a school knows the phrase administrative processes often means, well, headaches and paperwork. Is AI really making a dent in that side of things? Is it the knight in shining armor for the admin burden?
It definitely has the potential to be, yeah. I mean, we all know school admin tasks can be incredibly time-consuming. Takes away from teaching time, support time. So from composing emails and letters to more complex things like planning, AI systems are starting to make school administration significantly more efficient. Think about drafting standard communications, emails, letters. Generative AI can produce pretty professional, sometimes even personalized drafts quite quickly. This reduces the burden on staff, freeing them up to focus on their core responsibilities, like teaching or student support.
Right, freeing up time again. This sounds like it could be a real strategy for tackling teacher burnout, which we know is a huge issue. Cheryl Shirley from Leo Academy Trust seemed to confirm that. She mentioned their AI strategies are explicitly focused on workload reduction, things like lesson planning support, feedback, marking, partly to help with staff retention.
Absolutely. And Neelam Palmer, who works across the AISL schools in Asia, noted that their leadership is actively looking at AI policies and, crucially, change management. They want to really embed these tools properly into how they work, aiming to reduce teacher workload and boost productivity for everyone, academic and non-academic staff alike.
It's interesting that leadership is thinking about policies and change management. It's not just about giving people a tool, is it?
Not at all. And Miles Berry, professor of computing education at Roehampton, gave a really vivid everyday example, the knit letter.
Ah, the dreaded knit letter.
Exactly. Those generic but necessary communications about a head lice outbreak. He says AI can generate those standard letters easily. It could even potentially incorporate insights from NI theory, those subtle prompts to encourage behavior, like checking hair regularly without being dictatorial. But he stressed, and this is important, it's not about replacing admin staff. It's about freeing up their time from drafting generic comms so they can handle the more personal, sensitive parent communications that really need a human touch.
That's a great clarification. It complements the human work, handles the routine stuff.
Precisely. And then looking more strategically, AI can also support things like policy writing, drafting new policies, updating existing ones, maybe responding to changes in legislation. AI can produce a structured first draft This allows staff to focus their energy on refining the content, thinking through the implications, making sure it's right for their context. But again, the sources are really clear. It must not be used to outsource the actual thinking. Human responsibility for the policy's content and its effects remains absolute.
Right, it's a drafting assistant, not the decision maker. Makes sense. What about data analysis? That feels like another area where AI could be a massive help sifting through numbers. What are schools using it for there?
Yeah, data analysis is a big one, but this is where the warnings about data protection get really loud, and rightly so.
Okay, so what's the main concern?
Schools need to be extremely cautious. The absolute rule is ensuring data is properly anonymized before it goes anywhere near an AI tool.
Hmm.
And critically, making sure the AI tool itself doesn't learn from or train its model on any sensitive student data it might process, particularly what's called special category data under UK GDPR. That's things like health info, ethnicity, biometric data, highly sensitive stuff needing extra legal protection.
So anonymization is non-negotiable. Got it. Assuming that's done properly, what can AI do with the data?
Well, Miles Berry highlighted its strengths in producing data visualizations charts, graphs making trends easier to spot. It can identify patterns or maybe anomalies and exceptions from things like survey results, or analyze whole school assessment data. For instance, comparing GCSE results against, say, Key Stage 2 SAT scores from years earlier to see overall patterns of progress for cohorts, maybe via scatter plots. The key, though, is always anonymized aggregated data. You should absolutely never submit individual pupil-level data to these general AI engines.
Being able to see those bigger trends without compromising individual privacy, that's definitely a valuable use if handled correctly. And I saw Joseph Arday, a computer science teacher, even mentioned using AI personally to help produce school promotional campaigns and videos. Shows how accessible it's becoming for creative tasks, too.
Yeah, the uses are broadening out. These broader operational efficiencies can also extend into things like long-term strategic planning, structuring development plans, maybe even helping with complex timetabling challenges. For school trips, AI could generate draft checklists, itineraries, permission letters, again, drafts needing human review. It might even suggest tailored professional development, CPD opportunities for staff based on school goals or individual needs. But underpinning all of this, security and ethics have to remain absolutely paramount. The sources repeat this consistently. Any AI tools used must be configured not to learn from the prompts given to them, especially if those prompts contain copyrighted material or sensitive information. They must be tools approved by the school or education setting, meeting the Department for Education's product safety expectations. And there's strong warning against just using free, publicly available tools, because those often do learn from user inputs, which could easily lead to data breaches. Transparency about how any student data is used is vital.
Okay, so a huge range of potential applications, but always with those guardrails of human oversight, safety, ethics, and data protection firmly in place. So we've really taken a deep dive today into the, well, expansive and definitely evolving role of generative AI in education. We've looked at how it's supporting teaching and learning, how it can personalize the educational journey, especially for diverse needs, and how it's streamlining some of those tough administrative processes. And I think what's really come through from this deep dive is that beyond just efficiency, generative AI is subtly, but quite profoundly, reshaping the role of the educator. It's less about just doing tasks faster and more about maybe reprioritizing that irreplaceable human judgment, the empathy, the personal connection that really defines great teaching. AI is maybe becoming the ultimate assistant, allowing educators to focus more on their most, well, human responsibilities. It feels like a practical tool that's already starting to reshape education, making it potentially more efficient, more accessible, and opening up genuinely new opportunities for students and teachers alike.
Absolutely. It's really striking how quickly these tools are becoming integrated, not just theoretically, but practically, into schools and colleges. The pace is remarkable.
It really is. So thinking about that pace and considering all these ways generative AI is being used right now to enhance education, here's a final thought for you to ponder. What new forms of collaboration, maybe between humans and AI, or perhaps even between different AI systems working together, might actually redefine the very nature of learning over the next, say, 10 years?
Yeah.